We did the old switcheroo, didn't we? We did the old
Yeah.
switcheroo. So for those of you that are trying to catch up with us, um, I did an original live stream where the sound wasn't coming through. So Joe helped me out with that. I think it's a device thing. So I switched out devices, and hopefully this time around, people can hear me talking. So they should be
Yep.
able to.
I can hear you.
Yeah, people should be able to hear me now.
Yep.
Hi, hello. Everyone can.
Absolutely.
Everybody can hear me. We're good then. We are situated is the right word for everything. Can hear you. Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate you telling me that. Okay, so as I was saying earlier, we have Joe Punohu with us. We will go through that real quick. We're going to recap. We have Joe Punohu from Hawaiian Hauntings here with me this evening. Joe is one of my favorite and frequent guests that we've had on in the past. Me and Joe go all the way back to like we were doing like COVID stuff, even before COVID. But we were doing COVID
No,
stuff.
we go back to 2011, dude.
Yeah, I'm talking about with the show though. But yeah, we go back all the way. You know, we're like a solid decade
Wow.
into the things that we do. So everyone that's here right now that's on, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for coming back. All that good stuff. It's just nice having you all here this evening. And yeah, so tonight we're doing something a little bit different. Usually I am the one doing all the interviews, and well, I do the interviews and the questions and everything else like that. But and I know Joe has interviewed me in the past for his Hawaiian hauntings, which we will talk about as well. By the way, we will talk about Hawaiian hauntings. So
Yeah, sure.
yeah, we'll talk about that. But Joe has interviewed me in other formats, but no one has interviewed me on my own format. So I thought it would be rather interesting. So the other day when I was talking with Joe, I said, "Hey Joe, would you do me a favor and interview me?" He said, "Sure. What should we talk about?" Thought about it for a minute or so, and I said, "What about spiritual protection? One of the most important things that we do in the paranormal, but maybe people might overlook in their day to day lives. And the things that we can do, the things that we should know about, that I know Joe has done spiritual protecting as well for blessings and such, the things that we should know about, and the things that we could use as a course correct in case we feel that we are running into
Yep.
a spiritual situation. So that's what we're doing tonight, guys. That's what we're doing. So Joe is going to be interviewing me, and Joe is coming on right now. Thank you, Joe, for being here tonight.
Yep.
Sorry about the delay earlier. So hopefully that's a pretty juicy topic to talk about this evening, to talk about spiritual protection and the importance of that. I think what's really interesting about it is we practically come into the world based upon our denomination and such sometimes. Like for in Catholicism and such, we have like baptisms and such to bring us into the world with protection and everything else that we need to be in the good graces of the light and all that is divine. So, Joe, what's your feeling about spiritual protection and how it's placed in, let's say, like in your life
I
as an
did.
example, and
I'm
then you ask
interviewing
me.
you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You asked me questions. Okay, I'm sorry. You go ahead,
I'm
Joe.
interviewing
You
you, buddy.
caught me. You caught me falling into my old shoes. So, Joe, feel free to ask me
Yeah, I've heard
anything.
before.
I'm
I
going.
don't interview people.
Yeah,
This is new for me.
yeah, that's right. Sorry, guys.
So yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, you doing you, brother. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
So okay.
yeah,
I know when it comes to spiritual protection, when it comes to, for me personally, I go out. I like to go out into the dark,
yeah.
and if it's a new place, I don't like to go out with random people
Mm-hmm.
that I've never really met
Yeah,
without meeting them first, because I don't know how, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know their baggage. I don't know what they bring to the table. I don't know how the spirits are going to react to them, and I don't know if I can protect them or if they can even protect themselves.
right.
You know. So you, however, are not one of those people. You're one of the people that I turn to when I need somebody protective, or if I ever need a protection, I turn to you as well, as a few other people like Guy, you know. But sorry, it's windy outside here. So, what do you think it is that how do you get into your mindset? I believe that it's the mindset of a person, which is what lets you protect and others and yourself and that kind of stuff. Um, what is the mindset that you're in when you go out, when something scary is happening? What are the thoughts that are going into your mind, going across your mind?
Well, that's a good question because I think, you know, outside of YouTube, you and I have conversations, and I know that one of the most interesting things I've shared with you is like in the past when I started doing this work with ghosts and everything. Sometimes I would find myself just packing up my gear, going outside, and going somewhere to do this. And what became part of my natural thinking process after a while was kind of like pumping the brakes a bit and saying, "Hey, listen, you know where you're going, right, tonight?" I'd be asking that in my head, as I'm going there. You know where you're going tonight, right? You know what to expect, right? Yeah, and you also realize there are things that no matter how much you prepare yourself for, you can't predict. So you go through the list, the checklist, da 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 da. But what I find myself turning to is the fact that it's interesting. I'm glad I'm doing this show. I get rather kind of gothic in my thinking, and then
Cool.
yeah, I get very gothic in my thinking. I go like into this like a dark channel of my mind where I just kind of like see that when I think about how man and the spirit world has coexisted and even fought with each other, I have to kind of go back and reference certain things. So even like if I bring, okay, so we're talking about protection. One of the first things that I bring with me, and I think this can help people in their day-to-day lives as well if they feel like something is trying to come at them, um, is I bring a lot of very connective music. Like, I can't just listen to like say I wanted to keep away evil, right? Which is your most basic instinct is keeping away evil. Then what I would do is I would bring, since my mind goes more to this gothic channel of thinking, then I'm really heavily engaged in stuff like Gregorian chants and such. And even with
Interesting.
biblical references. But that's because of the fact that I go through my checklist first. Then I'm kind of like,
So let
okay,
me ask you a question
yeah,
with that.
yeah.
So yeah, music is a fantastic thing. I've done that as well. When things get heavy, I turn on a prayer or I turn on hymns or stuff like
Hmm.
that. Do you think that the chant or what you're listening to affects the spirits, or do you think it affects you and that's mirrored onto the spirits?
I think it's a communal thing. In other words, as an example, if you look at Hawaiian culture, beautiful example, and Native American and other cultures as well, um, there is something very unique and special about trying to evoke something that's powerful that can actually create a bridge that is helpful. That's it's something very powerful in that. And I know, like in Hawaiian culture and stuff, which is where I reflect on things, I really recognize that fact. I really truly recognize that there's so much, involved with that. There's so much. So it just depends, man. It really truly depends on certain situations and such. But music is important because music is not just music. Music is also prayer, or you know what? Maybe this is the most basic way that people communicate with the spirit world is through evoking blessings and such. I know in prayer we put ourselves out there. We're literally putting ourselves out
Mm.
there, and unless we are really truly built that solid staircase between heaven and the divine, I mean the earth and the divine, then we struggle sometimes with what we're working with. But it's still good to have that in your head. So
Mm.
that's how I look at it with music and everything else too. Um, it has to be your fail safe. Does that make sense? It has to be your fail safe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I, how do you think the spirits, let's say, for example, a Judge Trail,
Right.
who know nothing of Gregorian chants and nothing of gospel music and that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
how do you think that they react to it?
That's a good question. It kind of reminds me of a spirit encounter that happened years ago when Jennifer was with us, and we were at a particular historical graveyard, and Kainoa was with us, and Kainoa was interacting with spirits that were from, Kainoa is a Hawaiian warrior type spirit that represents a certain era in Hawaii, and he was interacting with other spirits that were from other places and eras and stuff like that too. So I find it to be interesting
Yeah.
that you can find a way, to do stuff like that. But I think the best thing that I would say to do is always put forward that if it's a place with Hawaiian ghosts and spirits, if that is the case, then what you should do is present that, in the most respectful way that you can. In other words, like for me, I can't go past my boundaries. Like I know one time I had a beautiful experience at Kukani Loco because of the type of music and everything that I chose, and I got like a direct response for that. So, that kind of stuff is really, I don't know.
Mhm.
It's great. It's so good
Well,
to be able to work with what you know first, and then introduce other things maybe to the spirits later on. So I try to go with
of course.
what they feel is important first and foremost. That's I remember the first time, Joe, I went to Judd Trail and I stood near the path that goes down into the actual trailhead, and I spoke, and all I saw were like a wall of dark trees, and there was just this energy there. And when I spoke, I felt like, wow, look at me. I'm on this side of things and they are on their side of things, and yet I'm still trying to find something to work with that's good for both of us as far as speaking and everything goes. So
Mhm.
even that I had to work on, from practically from the get go.
So I'll look up this article I read as well. I wanted to bring it up.
Hmm.
I'm of a mind that, like, when it comes to evil spirits and stuff, traditionally they've been around since Babylonian, Mesopotamian times. Mesopotamia, which predates Babylonian times, and that's the cradle of civilization. But these spirits and these demons and these bad things have been around messing with humans since the Mesopotamian times, before Christianity or Judaism was even thought of
Yes.
by the people or communicated by the people,
Yes.
through the people.
Hmm.
Before God came down with the burning bush and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I remember reading this article years ago. If I can find it again, I'll share it. And
Right.
I'll post it on my page and your page too. But it was about a Tibetan monk that did exorcisms.
Hmm.
Because, back in those days, how would they have done it? Were they just kind of like tough luck? You don't know Jesus, you don't know Jesus, but you know life. You don't know God, you don't know Jesus, you don't know, Moses is God of the Jews, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Um, and the more I thought about it, the monks, so somebody asked the monk, you know, that did exorcisms. He's been doing it for 30 or 40 years. And of course, he's not Christian. He's not Catholic. He's not Judaism. He's none of those beliefs. He has his own personal disciplines. I'm not sure if I would call it a belief system in
Right.
supernatural entities, but it's more of a discipline.
Hmm.
And he had his way of doing it, and he said that his way of doing it was to just, he's like, basically it's to not be afraid. He's like, you show yourself with that, and it's the energy that you put off of not being afraid that is what banishes these demons, because they have nothing to latch on to. The interviewer asked him and said, are you ever afraid one day that this theory of yours will no longer work? And he said, of course I am. But as long as it keeps working as it has for decades,
Right.
I'm not going to change my way.
Right.
So that made me into the way where I kind of think that if religion and belief and all of that is what's effective, first and foremost at a base level, is whether or not you can protect yourself, whether or not you feel safe. If you feel vulnerable, brother, you're vulnerable. If you feel protected, I believe if you feel safe, whether it's cross, whether it's something else, then you're safe. You're good.
Right. Right.
It's like those hymns and stuff. To me, it has an effect on you, and that effect on you is the protect. Now you throw into the equation the white light, the compassion of Christ, and the power of, you know what I mean, Michael the archangel, and all of this stuff. You throw that. That's just, you throw that on top of all of that.
Right.
Wow, this thing runs away with its tail between its legs. You know,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think of that?
I totally, and that's one of the reasons why I like having our discussions and such. Is I'm totally in alignment with what you've been saying the last several minutes, and in an overall uh, sense that I really believe that it's all gonna come down to it's all gonna come down to how you decide things fit in your life. You know, some people are perfectly okay with handling high stressful scenarios, whether they're from spirits or bills. You know, fucking day to day. Excuse my language, but you know, day to day stuff. By the way, hello to everyone that's here tonight. That's saying hi right
Oh
now,
yeah, hi.
and I haven't seen any of you. Aussie Tiger, it's been a minute, hasn't it? It's been a while. Yeah, good to see all of you here tonight. So I mean, again, it's
Hey
just
guys,
it's
how's it
just
going?
really what are you basing your relationships on, and is what really matters. But I think that since the world is kind of like picking up at a pretty good clip, we have to be like prepared for anything, and that's why I wanted to do a show like spiritual protection, because it's not so much even the big things that we see in religion and everything. It's the smaller day to day things that we're dealing with. I mean, because sometimes I swear, man, I am not joking. People might think, well, you know, if you're going to talk along those lines, like, oh, like say something is happening to you in the middle of the night, then it's obviously could be something that has to do with a shared belief system, but not necessarily something that's concrete. It's just a belief that yes, there is ghosts, but is the ghost that's happening, or the haunting that's happening around you, is it real, or is it something that's in the back of your head that wants to come forward and be real? So
Yeah, yeah,
that's how I look at it. So, but can we handle any of those, like the late night situations in the day? Because there's sometimes in the daytime I feel like there's something there because weird things happen, and your case may vary, right? Your case may vary. Maybe your
yeah.
family, like when I talk about protecting people from ghosts and spirits, one of the first things I ask is, "Hey, has your family had any type of occult background?" Because you yourself may not be the person that's like invested into it, but your history could be invested into it, and that's what could be drawing in things to you and such. So it just depends on your history, how you're reacting to things. Because, like I said, it's things are getting to be kind of out of whack now. So some people are actually more inclined to be along the dark side of things, on the dark side of the fence, than on the good
Well, of
side of
course,
the
it's
fence.
different.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, right? So
I
that's
feel like, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I also know how strongly devout of a Christian you are. So I'll come up with another example that I want to know what your opinion is on.
yeah,
So what I said earlier about it's not denying the presence of God. It's feeling brave, whether it's putting two sticks together to form a cross, or
right, right,
putting an amulet, or
hmm,
whatever else. You know what we talked about this a
yeah,
lot.
yeah,
We talked about this before. So I guess a good comparison would be like let's use weapons as an example. You know me, I love my metaphors.
of
I
course,
love my comparisons. I love comparing one thing to another.
yes,
So if you like back in the days before Jesus, before all of that stuff, they were proficient with other types of hunting. Let's say bow and arrow, right?
yeah,
That bow and arrow that they have, they're safe. They that's their belief system. That is their bow and arrow.
right,
Um, Christianity came along and brought different set of weapons. And every religion, I believe, is a different set of weapons.
yes,
And if you draw your strength from there, and if you're proficient in it, I mean, let's say in the Catholic Church is an assault rifle, okay, or a bazooka,
right,
that's great. But if you think you can call yourself a Christian just by owning it, just by going to church, but not learning how to use it, not applying it to your daily life, not understanding it, not exploring it, you're not gonna be able to use it as the guy who has used his bow and arrow all his life, right?
sure, yeah, of course. I believe we have wearable
So
wearable identities.
before I
So I
go,
agree. Go on.
yes. So before I go too far off on a tangent,
Yeah.
it's like your belief and your strength, no matter what it is, can definitely be used to shield you from the dark. I do believe that there are ones that are much more efficient, proficient, and stronger than others.
Right.
I also believe that it's your relationship with your faith, of whatever you choose, that determines how strong and how effective it's going to be in protecting you from evil spirits.
Hmm.
What's your thoughts on that?
Um, I really think that it's very interesting to have, and very happily part of this kind of conversations that I hope that we can have more of in the future. Because to be honest about all of this stuff, it depends on how you wear your identity in today's world. You have to think of your identity, because some people are, you know, some people want to be on the right side of things, but yet they're easily serving under another different banner, and that's where the confusion can come from. Calling upon blessings and everything else too, it's probably one of the greatest things, Joe, that if you are spiritually, involved in your life, right? It's one of the greatest honors is to ask for that help, because it humbles you. It makes you realize that we can only do so much, right? Then there is always
Mm-hmm.
calling upon the angelic host and everything else for help in situations, or go direct source in some of these things. Just go direct source. And when I started doing the paranormal, um, of course there was the really spooked out demonic side to everything and such too. But that's
Of
why
course.
anyone can say, "Oh, help me in a moment," but do you really? Are you really believing that you can be helped? It's probably one of the biggest things too, in asking for help and giving,
You
giving,
know,
like, say like you, right?
yeah,
Like you're what you do for houses and people, and you do blessings and everything. But doesn't it come down to, one, if that person really wants that to happen? Really wants
yeah,
that to happen. So it depends on your relationship, I think, and then you proceed from there, if that makes any sense.
yeah, exactly. It depends. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
If you want it or not. Um, I find that interesting, the topic of protection and spiritual protection.
yeah.
Just extremely interesting, because a lot of it is psychological, a lot of it is symbolic. There's a whole lot of different layers that you can peel back.
Yes.
There's the mental side, and then there's the item side. What kind of items do you use to protect yourself
Right.
versus other people? What are items that are specific and special to you that you use to protect yourself from things like this that we're talking about?
You know, like, even for me on Facebook, I have the prayer warriors and such. People that are warriors, that are spirit warriors, that believe and that there is an actual battle taking place. And that you have to be prepared for that battle. And it's so intricate. It goes down to the headpiece, the chest plate, and everything else that you wear, to protect yourself, the armor that is needed to face off against the enemy. And I thoroughly believe that, and part of that is, you have to visualize yourself as being something like that, because you just can't go in there. When if you talk about having to stand your ground, even if it's just for a little while, until whoever decides to come in and help you does come in to help you, you have to you have to stay in that mold. You can't just say, well, this is a temporary thing, because if you battle, you have to battle. And luckily enough, at least I think, we have not reached that point yet in history where it's like total battle. Like, everyone has to be doing this. Everyone has to be busily engaged every day. Although, we be doing this? Yes, I believe it. But to get certain things done, you have to have that. It has to be running. It kind of has to be running through your veins, or at least you are shown, where all of this lies within you. And that depends on your experiences with whatever you're encountering. But it's good. What's good about blessings and all this stuff too is just the identification. Identification is so important. If you don't have identification, if you cannot process that there is something going on and I have to be in a certain state of mind with a certain connection going on in order for me to truly do something with this until you can get the help. Because sometimes I'm sure you realize this too, is that people are calling out to you for help. And it's like, well, until the cavalry can arrive, these are the things that you should be doing, you know? So,
Mm-hmm.
it even says in the good book, not everyone shall be saved. So it
Yeah.
depends. Do you want
But
that?
back to the question: what kind of items do you have? Like, you know mine.
Okay.
I have a
Oh,
rock.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Yeah.
Because that reflects my culture. That reflects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's the
I'm
cross.
just curious.
The cross. The cross. I use the cross, and I use holy water. Now, talking with you is a fascinating thing. And I think that's what I was getting to. I was just giving you the scenic route to it. But
Mm-hmm.
the
I enjoy the ride.
no, well, that's the main thing. But the cross is just I don't know. I have discussions with people who have their own religious beliefs and everything, and you know, they seek out their own path of protection and everything, and then we express why we follow what we follow. Yeah. So the cross to me is the ultimate protection because it was truly the symbol of victory for all the things that we were to be challenged with, and we still are challenged with. But to overcome and receive that victory, you need the most powerful symbol for that. So yeah, for me, so sorry about that. It's very, very basic. It's the cross and it's holy water. It's just like this prayer that I say, may the holy cross always be my light, you know? It's or along those lines. It's very important to see whatever you're using, right? Like I know for you, that's why I love talking to you. You use different things, you know, and then you place your attachment to it. Attachment is another powerful word. You know, we're talking about spirit attachments and all this other things we won't get into right now. But whatever you attach onto that particular symbol, you know, is very important. You are enabling it by adding your own sense of purpose to it, as well as the original sense of purpose. They have to kind of like come together and work together to create that thing, you know. Or sometimes it's not. So your weapon is a prayer. Your weapon is how well you cry out for help. You know, believe it or not. That's your if you don't have that in you, how can you accomplish, you know? So question, how does an agnostic person know what to do? What for prayers? I don't know, Joe. I turn that over to you since I know I'm being interviewed. What does a
So,
person with different denominations do? I guess is being said for.
agnostic is a person that believes in nothing,
Yeah,
but
I know.
nothing is
Yeah,
known
right. Yeah.
or can be known. Um, Now, this is in my personal opinion, and it all depends on the person and how far you're willing to take it and stuff like that. And it's a very dangerous path.
Right.
Belief in yourself, self-confidence, belief that it, but then that then that stems from the belief that we do have God power and God energy in us. But if you're agnostic, you don't know if you really believe that or
Right.
not. How does an agnostic person know what to do? I don't know. It's at that point I would consider your views on being agnostic because, like I said before, I've met people who claim to be possessed by the devil, but they simply don't believe in God. You can't believe in one without believing in the other. If you believe that there's one supernatural entity that cannot be seen or measured or controlled or
Right.
replicated by science and that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you don't believe it it's happening to you. But once you cross that threshold, believe you have a problem, believe it is happening to you, then you have to also think about your belief system to
Mm-hmm.
believe that the opposite, in fact, is also true. That there is a good, and that good should be the one that you start to learn about. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah. To me, it makes
What
sense.
about me?
It makes total sense. It does. Um, and again, I just believe that also that your experiences kind of like lead you to what you end up seeing as a value. You know, some people find value in spiritualism. Some people find value in the material. But
Well, I think there's a balance. Some
yes,
people find, like a lot of agnostic people that I know, they find value in the free will. They
right,
find value in their own journey and their own choices.
right,
And to me, that's just a reflection of Christianity as well, because God gave us free will. God gave us all, we have God in us. And so by us showing people, shining that light,
mm-hmm.
is what brings people to us. And what, I mean, it's like a light in the darkness. And some people might say that's you, but like for me, my light in the darkness, I believe, comes from the divine, right?
Mm-hmm. That's why a conversation like spiritual protection can like definitely have a very interesting way of expression because it eventually it can just branch out in so many different paths and everything else too. And it depends also if you actually believe that you need to be protected. I think some people end up, for one reason or another, and that's just how life translates itself. Some people live very practically blessed lives. There's very little challenges that they face or they go through. And there are people that are like
Yeah.
that. That's just how life is. And that can be something that we either learn from or that can create more problems in us. We can become very envious and bitter and such, or we can just try to see where we're at and why we're in our situation, so and that all plays
Yeah.
into the quality of life. Is definitely an important part of how you see things to that will help you out because a person that's living a more charmed life will see less of a reason why they should be even engaging in something like that. So it just depends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I would call that mindset.
yeah,
Because, yeah. To me, yeah, as I said, it's all about the mindset. Like, do you believe that do you believe that areas have protectors, and that these protectors sometimes might protect the areas from us? And if you do, how do you protect yourself? Let's say, for example, I mean, okay, hold on, I'm falling over my word too. We go to Judge Rail,
right.
and I believe there's a protector at Judge Rail. The protector at Judge Rail is protecting Judge Rail from us.
Okay.
On that night that we were there, there's something bad there.
Right.
How do you take that?
Um, Very good question.
Because here's our protector. Here's a protector protecting us. So we are having our protection already.
Mhm.
Somebody else is providing us protection, whether or not we choose to use it is up to us. We still have the freedom to say the heck with that and to go down and explore anyway,
Mhm.
right?
Guardians and such. Yeah, I hear you on that.
I've been faced with that option on many occasions where it's like I really want to go, and there's something happening, and it's like no, you shouldn't.
I believe that that possible. See, the thing too, yeah, and like that's why I like how we have our conversations as well. Um, is that I remember at one point in time when I was doing the paranormal, I was talking with some people and I was doing some public engagements and such, and people were trying to use words like, oh, you're thinking, third eye awakening, and you're very woke in the way you see the world and stuff. And that's why when people ask me questions like, but I'm like, I'm cool with what people see, that's fine with what people see about me, that's fine. But I guess because if that is possibly who I am as a person, that I'm very open to, like when you mention these type of things, especially having experienced some very unusual type of activity that would fall into line with something that's watching over the place. You know what I'm saying? And then reacting to
Yeah, yeah,
whatever's going on, right?
yeah.
They react to what cause and effect. They react to what you do. you know. So I definitely,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Kind of like what Aussie Tiger is saying. He says it's the type of person that I found out about recently, agnostic. I I wanted to get back into that in for a little bit.
sure,
Well, you know what? First, I'll ask you.
right,
It's an agnostic, a person who doesn't not who not only doesn't believe in spirits,
right,
whether God, whether Shiva, whether you know what I mean, all of these other things, the Ra or whatever,
right,
but they're having bad things happen to them with a paranormal nature.
right.
What would you do? How would you help them?
Agnostics? Oh, like anyone else in the world, encouragement. Encourage them to explore what their feelings are, you know, what they're leaning towards, but also encourage just an overall sense of using your perception the right way. Because sometimes, you know, what the thing about spirits, and that's why we seek protection as well, is there are some that are very good at trying to deceive us. So I would encourage the agnostic person to really examine where their headset and their heart set is, and then again using that very important word, alignment. Align the two together. Does that make sense? Just bring those two together,
Yeah,
and then it'll help out more.
challenge them,
Yeah, challenge them.
challenge them to think beyond that. So
Yes.
we have a mutual
Mm-hmm.
friend
Mm-hmm.
that we both worked with that has had the paranormal stuff happening to her. You know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
She believed her protection, her belief was based around the very spirit that was possessing the body.
Right. That's what we're talking
So
about. Definitely. Right
yeah,
now. Yes.
that thing did speak truth and was commanded to.
And
But
they're very good at trying to win you over. A lot of this stuff is like, you know, good cop, bad cop. That's the paranormal.
yeah,
You know. So the
yeah.
bad cop is gonna try and make you think that they're the good cop. You know.
I've gone so far as to when people like that come to me and they want help, but they're not willing to believe it. Well, to be honest, my strength, well, and they're not willing to find their own strength in the spiritual and supernatural.
Right.
Um, I'm just kind of at a loss of what to do. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to offer somebody protection that they are not willing to accept. And so for her, for example, I remember her husband called me up. He was really mad because I told her, I'm like, listen, my protection, my strength comes from the Catholic Church. Said Michael the Archangel, Jesus, and God. I can't help you if you want me to use your strength. Your strength comes from the one that's possessing you. You may want to reconsider that. And her husband got mad. They stopped preaching to her. She doesn't have to. You know, I told her, if you really want help the way I can offer it, go to church, get baptized, receive the Eucharist, all of that good stuff.
Yeah,
But
because
he
the.
got really upset
Mm-hmm.
about that, and so did she because I I can't help people the way they want me to help them because they have their strengths. Kind of like as agnostics, it's like it's gotten to the point where I've had cases that were affecting children, you know, and the parent just simply refused to go to church, talk to a priest, any of this kind of stuff, or refused to even just ask Michael the Archangel for help. And I've strongly considered, in fact, I'm kind of ashamed to say, in a way, I've stepped over the line of free will, and I started exerting my will and praying to exert my will for her. If she's not going to ask for help, I'm going to ask Michael the Archangel to come down and help her.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing. I'm not proud of it. That's an act of almost taking away their free will.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't usually work. It's not usually effective because it's coming from somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? That's what would you do in a situation where a person is refusing to any kind of help that you offer, but they want you to help them anyway?
Song remains the same. I would just continue to encourage anyone going through things spiritual and such to continue to pay attention to what is making them react to things, and how they're reacting. Because life is just going to be full of these situations, but some people are more susceptible to accepting spiritual intervention, and that can be good and that can be bad. Everything's going to have a balance to it. So, but what if it's something evil that's trying to do the influencing, right? So we have to kind of like ascertain and figure it out. And in the long run, we have to say, hey, listen, this is what's going on. And it's up to you to decide if you accept it for being as such. Because, we can only do so much, each and every one of us. One thing I've learned to acknowledge and see is sometimes I would notice it along social media platforms that things get to be too heavy. And when it gets to be too heavy, as much as it bothers me, I find relief and wisdom in letting go. Like, no, I can't go that far with any, with that message or with this message. It's the same with people. You can only help someone so far. You really only
Yeah.
can go so far in helping someone out. And then after that, you gotta be able to pull away from it. And you also gotta be very mindful that whatever might be torturing a person might also want to end up torturing you. So it's
Yeah.
good to know when to let go and let whatever else has to play out, let it play out. And but the best thing you can do when you pull away from it is to put that positive spin, right? So you say like, well, I think the best prayers are the small and the big, like they say, but also a loving prayer. Try to put some love into your prayer, and because even like Mother Teresa used to say that, oh, I have my dry prayers. Dry prayers are prayers that aren't heartfelt. Try to say a heartfelt prayer. You know, try to say a heartfelt prayer,
Hmm.
and leave it at that. Because then you know that you've given of yourself completely, the best way you could. You went the whole 9 yards with the person, right? You did all of that, and now you add this as your final part in all of it, and that's it.
Hmm.
That's it, really. Because I believe that what's trying they are equal opportunity destroyers. These type of entities that are out there, they're willing to bring as many people along that is curious about this, because they'll make a big party for everyone. They have no problem. Accommodation is not a problem. So, I
Hmm.
think once you realize the nature of the enemy, we can adjust our strategy based upon the nature of that, if that makes any sense at all.
Well, it does, although the enemy, I found, loves to throw you curveballs, that aspect.
Hmm.
The true nature of it, the way that they'll get around it,
Right.
is they love to trick you by behaving against their nature or appearing to it, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Totally
like the funny
agree.
part. It's pretty
I totally agree with you on that too. Yeah. Like I said, I'm at that point now. Yeah. In the beginning, I was kind of like floundering around. Now I'm at the point where, it's good to really listen to what other people have to say, instead of just saying, well, something, maybe we should all just be quiet and try to listen to one particular thing, because I think messaging and blessings and all that, you have to realize that we're all receiving in different ways on different levels. We have to kind of see that as best as we can, and then
Mhm.
again, it's all adjustments. That's all it is per case with whoever you're trying to help and stuff, and I think the one that you're talking about, you did your best. You did your absolute best, and how we live after that really truly is important, because those things are so dark, right? You have to
Mhm.
find a way to live as best as you can after that. Sometimes you need an extra smile. You know, sometimes you may not feel good, and you know whether or not you're a macho guy, or whatever. It's okay to ask for a hug. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay to feel these things. And so hopefully that kind of answered some of the stuff that you're asking me. So
Yeah.
yeah, you know, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I look at it.
Um, well, you know my thoughts on this, about protection and stuff, and items, and that kind of stuff. Using items to protect.
Hmm.
Um, do you? What are your thoughts on that? Like, so my thought is, and this is what I was taught, and it really kind of resonated with me, is that, because when I did the ghost tours, I would bring salt with me, and kiwi with me, and holy water with me every night. We pass out salt to every customer on the tour every night.
Hmm.
We go through bags of salt. There you go.
Yeah.
We throw it around us everywhere we go in the circle and protect people and that kind of stuff. But my mom looked at me one day and I was using all of the kiwi and salt. She said, "So what you're gonna do when all of a sudden that doesn't work? What are you gonna do the day that you use the salt and you use it and it stops working? What are you gonna turn to?" And that made me think, and that made me kind of develop to me being the salt.
Right.
And the protection that I have is me.
Hmm.
It's based on my strength and all of that. The other stuff is just bonus. And it helps, in fact, you don't see me bring QBs and stuff very often anymore, do you?
No, I
When we
don't.
go out.
No, I don't.
When I do, I bring it for somebody else, usually.
Hmm.
I'll bring it for the people I go out with. Because I don't know if they're going to get freaked out, but it'll make them feel safe, so it's a winner. What's your thoughts about that when it comes to, like, because I know your strength is the cross and that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
The symbolism is heavy, and symbolism is very powerful. Aren't you afraid that you're going to overdo it?
I think I can
Well, I
over.
mean, okay,
Oh, go ahead.
if you were to go out like we did at the ghost tour, and you would go out every week,
Right.
3, 4 times a week,
Right.
would the thought that you might be overdoing it go into your mind?
Yeah. Definitely. Ghost tours, paranormal work, having a conversation like this on YouTube. It's the Spider-Man theory. With great power comes great responsibility. Not that we're all powerful, but knowledge is power. So the correct knowledge will create the best result, right? That's how we have to look at all of this
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, I believe that different things have different attributes that can be played out. I mean, I even went so far as to kind of like look at as a possibility stuff like crystals and other things that are interesting. You
You
know,
look into that
candles
kind of
that
stuff.
would evoke different types of energy. And I was looking at a whole bunch of crazy stuff. You know, so do I believe that it all works? It's kind of like when you get a spirit box and you turn it on and you're saying, "Hey, I want to talk to somebody." Right, and you're hoping that whoever's on the other
Hmm.
side is a good thing, right? Or like I tell people all the time, I say, hey, before we leave a location, we always say prayers. We always say, hey, you have to stay here. We're hoping for the best result, right? So it just
Yeah.
depends on what you're working with, and and again, gauging your results too. Like say you're working with crystals or anything else out there that you find that you're attracted to. How's the results with that? And then I think again, saying it all night, man. Maybe I hope I'm not boring anyone. Adjust yourself to that. To say, okay, you know what? My strength is with this. I use this. This is my strength, and I'll use this. But I also believe in total baseline. Baseline is your power of belief. You can't just go in and say, well, because I have this and I have an idea of how things work, that everything goes according to plan, because that just never happens. And that's not even a paranormal thing. That's just a realist about life type of thing. Things don't always go according to plan, but the best ones you work with better. Let's see what people are
Hmm.
saying in the audience here. We have Koneko, Kuniko, Shlamazo. Sorry, and we have Ozzy talking in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
in chat and going on there, and Kalina is talking in chat as well. So I could easily go back and try and catch up on everything, but you guys have been talking for a while. Um, but yeah, it's good to see you folks are enjoying uh, these type of shows that we're doing. I'm trying to expand as much as possible, and I think. Oh, let me tell you something very important, Joe. Okay, so the reason why I really wanted to do this show is back in 2013 when my demonic thing happened, the possession started to take place. It was at Sand Island. So this past weekend, I was at Sand Island with a friend of mine, and we're sitting down, we're having a good time, we're listening to music, enjoying ourselves at the beach, and my friend screams, and I'm like, "Oh, what the heck is going on?" And I turn and I look, like, where? What are you? What's wrong? I'm looking around. What's wrong? Why are you yelling? And then I looked down on the underneath the picnic table, and I saw this huge centipede. But what was weird about the centipede is that it wasn't one particular color. It was the most weird looking thing I had ever seen. It
Huh.
looked like it was filled with everything that could possibly be awful and wrong. It looked like if it bit you, you'd end up in the ER like within minutes. And I've seen centipedes. You live in Hawaii, you see like the red ones and the green, the blue, all that. You see all the different colors. And we definitely have a belief system with centipedes. Hawaiian belief is, you have to send back whatever's being sent at you. And what is being sent at you is being used. The messenger of whatever's being sent at you is being personified through that centipede. It's also known that centipedes are like the symbol of the devil as well. You can look. Feel free to look all this up, folks. Feel free to look up this stuff because it's there in case you want to look that up as well. So I went through that, and then I remembered, hey, you know what? I thought about this after I was talking with you too. I think it's like, hey, you know what? The whole devil thing and what happened to me 10 years ago, I was planning on doing this show. I could either retreat from the idea, right? Because it's like, because your mind can play tricks on you too, because you're involved with the paranormal, and say, well, maybe this is a bad sign and you shouldn't be doing this. So, bro, talk about how everything plays into your life, what works, what doesn't work, all of it, yeah, all of this stuff.
Mhm.
Um, it's incredible. It's incredible, So I had to bring that up because it really creeped me out. I never saw a centipede that looked like that before in my entire life. Never seen anything like it, and it creeped me out. And that's another thing too. When we left the centipede, or as we were leaving, the area of the centipede, I was doing blessings. I was doing prayers because I felt something awful around me. It wasn't the fact that this thing could sting you and hurt you. It's just that it looked wrong. So,
Mm.
but that's how your life can end up turning out to be sometimes. Okay, it could just be a centipede that had something going on with its skin. Could be. But, placement is everything. And the placement in my life and the placement in your life,
Yeah, timing.
yes, you know what I'm saying, dude. It's
Yeah.
everything. So, but
I
yeah, go ahead.
Centipedes to me suggests curse,
Yeah.
right? Jealousy or something like that, and I don't like those.
Hmm.
To me, I'd rather have a possession, not a possession. I'd rather have to deal with a spiritual entity than with a curse, because 9 out of 10 times the curse is from the living entity, and then it's a battle of your free will versus
Hmm.
their free will,
Right.
your free will versus their free will, and the victim's free will as well. Because
Yeah.
free will is a powerful thing, and how to protect yourself from that is, well, I'm still on the, like somehow, like, okay, like, yeah, I believe I see God like a parent. I see the Lord like a parent. And sometimes things are meant to happen for a reason, and we don't understand why, and it's not up to us to understand why.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of father that I'll let my kid, I'll tell them, hey, go play on that. And then when they continue to play on that and they fall and get hurt, I'm gonna let them pay the price. I'm gonna let them get the scraped knees. I'm not gonna go, oh my God, what are you, like, what
Right.
happened? Are you okay? And, all of that. I'm like, I told you, make better choices.
Yeah, it's true.
I see God kind of doing that when it to people, and sometimes it comes out of the blue. You don't even know.
Mm.
Every time, like when I talk to somebody with a case that they have things happening, right? Like they have something spiritual going on, whether it's a bump in the night, whether it's something that's scratching or something like that, and I'll try to remind them of something that I believe is very consistent. I mean, if you have guardian angels,
Right.
you need to remember your guardian angel is sitting back and allowing. The question is why.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can do all the protection in the world and all of that stuff, but like I tried it with my daughter once. She heard a voice at the end of the driveway. We're having a family party. My daughter's been known to have moments where she's audio clairvoyant, or what is it? Clairaudient, right? That's what clairaudient. And she could hear something standing at the edge of the driveway, outside the driveway, on the sidewalk, telling her to come here. Only she could hear this. And so she told me this, and I'm standing there right in the garage, you know what I mean? Everyone's there having a party and stuff like that. It's going to come over there. And I know already that it's not good, because the good is allowed in my yard. They can pass that, but the bad cannot cross that threshold of the sidewalk into the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went over there and I tried to, St. Michael at the death. I tried to do my thing, and I commanded it to be gone, and I commanded St. Michael the Archangel to remove it, and all of this stuff. And it was still there. My daughter's like, I can still hear that. He's still there. He's still telling me to come closer, closer. I commanded Michael the Archangel to remove it. Michael the Archangel was not sleeping. That part kind of freaked me out a little bit, but I thought about it, and what it was it was not up to me to get rid of this. This was not my thing. This was something my daughter had to do to protect herself and learn how to protect herself. And so when I realized that, I told her what she needed to do, and she did it, and it left.
Awesome.
So always are they like bad and evil, and sometimes they're a lesson. And I believe a lot of them, in fact, maybe even all of them, are just lessons to be learned.
Right.
To make us grow into stronger people and blah, blah, blah.
Well, I agree. Carol says, I have a good friend who is practicing Wiccan. She says there are no demons, just negative, bad energy. It's another perspective. I have difficulty with it since my mom and she saw two demons outside. It's interesting about demons and such. I think maybe towards Halloween we will do like a whole show on demons, or maybe several shows on them. But like even with any situation, it's the nature of what you're dealing with, right? Like with demons and negative entities and such. A lot of them deal with being able to trick you, trickery, a lot of trickery. It's almost like demons are almost like an Aesop's fable. Aesop's fables, I remember liking them as a kid because of all the moral implications involved with the stories and everything and such. And of course, when you look at moral implications, the people that are pulling the switches on the wrong side of the fence, using that term again, are the bad guys, are the demons and such. But they want you to think that all those switches are good stuff. This will do you some good. You need this in your life. Let's think about the here and now. Let's just take care of living in the moment, the impulsive nature of all of that, And so, yeah, I believe that they can deceive is what I'm getting at. And they can deceive any denomination. No denomination is safe. What was that?
It's so funny to me when they try to deceive, because they're stereotypical.
Yes, they are.
they do movie stuff, and I'm like, are you kidding me? We are the Legion. Come on, you're just trying to scare me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
And that's the other
they
thing.
do get a lot of people though.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah, these things will try and deceive and flex and make themselves look bad.
yeah,
I had one that was like that knew me and knew about certain cases I'd worked that obviously this girl had no idea about,
mm-hmm.
and started taunting me with them, and, you know,
Right.
stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I bet you can't even speak last weekend. So I'm like, yeah, you ain't nothing.
There you go.
I wanted to say something. I'm getting something. And I'm reading the chat. For small color now. How's it? Yes, I completely believe that. An agnostic person does have the energy and a soul and all of that stuff. And yeah, they can protect themselves using that as well. It's a mindset thing. It's how I believe. And anything else is icing on the cake. You know, like a guy can protect himself with his fists, and he can throw down in a fight if he's strong. But when you start to add weapons to it, when you start to add religion to it, you start to add tools and weapons to it that make them more effective.
Yes.
I wanted to say as well, Austin, I'm trying to be a good Christian follower, but I'm just not feeling it. Don't look at the people. Look at the belief. And the example that came up, don't look at the people, look at the belief. Look at what it, don't look at the history, what it's based on, look at what it does, look at what it teaches. Like, you might like this, like Zippy, they make the best, what they get, like guava apple, right? They get the guava apple this month. Oh, I love the guava apple. It's so great. It's one of my favorite things in the world. I'm not looking at the guy with the hairy arms who's making it, no. You know, I'd rather not think about that. It's not represented by the people. It's represented by the beliefs and by the values of all. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and denominations and religions and everything, they're all important to individuals as well. And also, it's also a shared thing. Something that we all share together, this common belief and where we're going and what we should be doing. But we also should, remember that when we leave church or whatever it is that we're coming together as a larger group for, to go back to our individual thinking and make sure that our individual thinking is doing quite well. You're always going to be giving yourself tune-ups. You don't just take care of your body, you take care of your spirit. So you have to tune up that side of your life. You have to like tweak and tune. And sometimes some people get more affected than other people, and that's why spiritual protection is important. The shielding and everything else to let only the right things that matter into your life, and it's a very interesting topic. I'm glad that we had this discussion tonight because it just can go into so many different places. It really truly can. Once you start talking the spiritual, I mean, it's just crazy how much stuff is out there now for people to tap into. And there's good and bad to that.
Is that Carol Lay? Is that Carolyn?
Yeah. No, that's someone else. Not Carolyn. Carol Lay is someone else. Yeah.
Different Carol.
She's been following for a while.
Oh, okay. Hey, Carol. Okay.
Yeah. Mace is there. Hey, Mace. Good to see you. Yeah.
I wanted to say something about Carol's comment too. I have good friends who's practicing with him. She says there are no demons, just negative bad energy.
Right.
It's another perspective. I have difficulty with it since my mom said she saw two demons outside her window, troubling, puzzling. Yeah. They like to wear the mask of the demon, but like I believe that's only for our benefit. These things are energy. They're energy. They don't exist in some three-dimensional world where they walk around with horns, cloven hooves, and all of that stuff. They do that for our benefit. But yeah, they test that. I also want to go on and say this. I don't know what you think about Mr. Nagabaki, but I have, me, I got contacts all over the place.
Right.
And I call upon people who are healers, people who are prayer warriors, everybody who's, I have a lot of light worker friends that are able to do that. And so when I come across somebody who needs help and is, let's say, a Wiccan or a pagan, I don't judge them on that, but I do tell them I'm unable to help them unless they want to listen to me talk about Christianity or stuff like that. But I do have friends that are badass, and they are Wiccan and pagan and that kind of stuff. In fact, the ones that I know that are badass, that are able to protect themselves and other people,
right,
who do kind of the same work that I do, they also believe in Jesus. They also believe in Michael the Archangel. They also believe in all of these things as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that interesting how a person can have such strong faith and conviction in many, many things.
Right.
But I have seen people who were not Christian and did not call upon the power of God be just as effective as me either.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that makes me kind of question the whole, is this religion, you know what I mean? Is it dependent on the person, or is it dependent on a separate entity known as religion? And whether you have the right one or not.
I believe that the beauty is in the simplicity of it all. And if you really want to find some of these answers, because like I said, sometimes I get these spirit downloads when I'm talking on the show, and at other times. And the download I just received was when Jesus chose his disciples. When he chose them based upon who they were. Not like, okay, well, we're picking amongst all of these diverse groups of people, including a tax collector and everything else too. And we're making I believe that is part of it too, that there's a bigger message that everyone from different walks of life can find the goodness in themselves, But simplicity sometimes is how we see life and how we kind of determine who we are and our natures and stuff like that. Sometimes other people see more things in us than we see in in ourselves. And so it's good to again interact and find these things out and see, not only our placement within our eyes, but within the eyes of other people and how they see us and how we are, a part of each other's lives and everything. I came in this very
Yeah.
simple-minded. And now I find my mind ever looking into other different things that really I think would help us out as people. And at the same time seeing and accepting the fact that it's okay to be weak sometimes and that we do make mistakes. I think we're living in more and more in this age where we have to be on top of things. We don't have to be on top of things. That's why we have each other to help each other. That's why that exists. That's why religion exists. That's why reaching out to get help and all this other stuff exists, is because we are not perfect. And we need to kind of like slow.
Complementing each other.
Yeah. We need to slow that. We need to slow our roll in certain ways of perception, and then take it back to a better place. And that's why I said sometimes finding out who we are and our strengths and everything else too it's so beautiful how we learn. If we're willing to learn. That's the whole thing too, because sometimes we just want to be on top of things. When you want to be on top of things, you kind of like you're smelling the coffee, but you're not enjoying the whole effect. You're just enjoying the smell. You need to enjoy everything about your experiences, not just certain venues of it and such. So, I don't know. That's just me, dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's just me when it comes to this stuff. So, but
Anybody in the audience have any questions?
yeah. That's true too. Anyone in the audience has any questions? Yes, please feel free to ask.
Input.
Anyone want to interview me in the audience? I'm just kidding. Ask questions, please. Yeah. Great. Oh, by the way, just to let you folks know, me and Joe are going to be doing a show in the future about sacred grounds, and the first place that we decided to do that with will be Ulupo Heiau. So look forward to that, because I know if I were to just sit down with Joe and we're not even doing YouTube, if we got on the phone and we started going into this subject matter, we would really get into that, really get into it. So look forward to that. Sacred Grounds is coming up with Joe. I'm just happy that Joe would help me with this, kind of humor me. Not really humor, but facilitate a thing that I wanted to try. He helped me out with that. So, Joe, thank you for that. I really appreciate you taking the time to just sit here and, go through these things that are just so important to us. And then along the way, right, when we're sharing this stuff, that it'll hopefully be important to someone that's listening to this out there. You know, oh, and by the way, before we even try to close this out, right? If you are experiencing the paranormal, okay, it's not just day to day stuff and spiritual, but if you are actually in the midst of that, and at some point in time you hear about this particular program and you're listening to it, resource out to like Joe Punohu at Hawaiian Hauntings, or you can reach out to me or other people that are there, because that's when all of this stuff really truly works, is when we just keep it at that level. You know, no one's trying to be advantageous. No one's trying to gain something. There's no money that people are trying to, put into the picture. You know, no one's trying to squeeze blood out of a stone. You know, if you need help with that, please reach out to one of us. Let us also tell you that you should be reaching out if you want to, because the power of choice lies within your hands. Please reach out to maybe a spiritual group or a church, something that you feel comfortable with, and start the ball moving that way. But by all means, do not stay complacent. Do not stay in a situation where you feel things are going to get better on its own, because that may not be the case. And so we should be open to that. So I'm just sharing that right now. If you are going through anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
please, I'm sure Joe will tell you the same thing. Yeah,
Typically, you're
Joe.
not by yourself.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I feel the need to tell people is you're not by yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of people, these demons, they work like we do. You know, the controlling um, boyfriend, girlfriend, they want you to think that you're completely and totally by yourself. And that no one is going to help you, no one is there for you, you might as well do something to them. They're controlling and all of that stuff too. And it's like, they're not. They want you to think you're by yourself and that you have no one to turn to for help, but you always have people to turn to for help.
I think we should do a show on demons and such, and do the light work too. But the reason why I bring that up is I know one of the things that I experienced, and again, it was good to go through the whole spiritual process of getting better, was when it was happening, and that's why it's good that Joe tells you this and I tell you this. There was, for me at least, there was a sense of helplessness for a while, because this stuff, you just don't know how strong it is until it hits you. And then, there are some people that might be able to adapt to it a little bit better. But I'm telling you right now, that thing carries a very powerful punch to it. Uh, demonic attacks and
Mm-hmm.
everything. It's not to be taken lightly at all. So,
No,
if you
can be
feel,
badass and it's
yeah,
still gonna knock you upside your head.
yeah. So the best thing to do is to be persistent in knowing it'll get better. Because I know when it happened to me, I had to be persistent. I had to be persistent in knowing that it'll get better. Because if not, it's real easy to go from up the obsession to the possession itself. It's oppression to possession. Excuse me, from oppression to possession. It's so easy to cross over to that. So make sure you have even if it's not like spiritual protection, like you're not using crosses and rosaries. Family is good. Friends are good. Make sure you have a good resource, even if you only have one friend. Make sure that you have that positive flow going in your life. Yeah, don't let your life go stale in that sense. Always reach out with a little bit of love somewhere and see what comes back at you. So with that said, let me take a look at the screen. Oh, here we are. Looking forward to the Sacred Grounds. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Sacred Grounds too. I really am. I'm gonna try and do one with Kuhal as well. He'll do like one or two Hayals on the Big Island and stuff. But um, oh God, I can't wait to do this one because I know Joe has such a profound connection with Ulupo. So looking forward to it. Uh, and with that said, and in conclusion, let's just wrap everything up for tonight. Again, Joe, thank you so much for being here this evening. Next week, Wednesday, you guys have a special treat. One thing leads to another, although the topics are different. We're going to be doing haunted hospitals. And I'm going to be doing my experience with what I went through with a haunted hospital, and I'll be sharing that with you. I have as a guest Faye Okamoto. She'll be coming on as well, and she works in the medical profession. So we will be talking about working in that field and the unusual circumstances that take place with it. So look forward to that. That's coming up next week, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Hawaii time. Check that out, guys. Next week, haunted hospitals. And then after that, I'll be working along the lines with Joe and some other people. We'll be doing more shows that are coming up. Stuff that I think you're going to really like. And of course, we'll also be going out into the field and doing stuff as well. Maybe we'll be able to document things. You never know. Uilani is saying, thank you. Great show and information. And yes, reaching out really helps. Joe helped me, and I'm doing a lot of great things with with your new
Awesome.
gifts. Awesome for that. I'm really glad to hear that. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for tuning in and listening. Please leave a like and a subscribe if you're new to the channel. Tune in for more things that are coming up within 2024 and beyond. And I will be talking with you folks again sometime very soon, at least next week, Wednesday. We have that other show, Haunted Hospitals. Check that out, and other things that are coming up. Ghosts of Hawaii, everyone. So happy to hear from all of you. Thank you for being so chat-like in the chat section of our video this evening. I will talk to you all again soon. Ghosts of Hawaii, your home for a dose of ghosts. And by all means, people, when you're out there and if something happens and you're kind of apprehensive about it, don't let it get to you. Remember, when there is darkness, there is always light. And that's all you need to know. Take care, everyone. God bless. Good night. I'll talk to you
Aloha.
all. Aloha. Talk to you all later. Here we go.